Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to look at the Lakers, in particular the Lakers on defense. We're going to discuss what teams will essentially try to do to them to try and get the best looks possible that they can to be as efficient as possible, and potentially what the Lakers will do to counter it, especially against playoff level teams. The three teams we're going to look at are Lakers against the Pacers, Lakers against the Mavs, and Lakers against the Knicks. 3 playoff level teams, all good caliber, and see what they tried to do to exploit the Lakers on defense. Let's go. Alright, first let's look at the Lakers and Mavs, and I honestly think the Mavs probably had the most straightforward game plan, and the first was simply to attack Luka whenever they could. Okay, so they try and get the switch right there, Kyrie doing a good job to engage Luka, trying to make sure they have 2 defenders here, which means there's somebody open around the outside. And the Mavs did a good job of this, frankly, in the playoffs last year, except it was obviously the other way around. But one thing that's crucial for the Lakers is they have good defenders. Surrounding Luka and Austin, they have 3 outstanding defenders, and so if they can get arms in there, disrupt traffic, help out, and make sure Luka doesn't have too much of a burden, it helps the Lakers a lot. But even the very next possession, we're going to see the exact same concept. So we got Luka there in transition. Kyrie versus Luka that's what the Mavs want, 100%. Okay, so Kyrie's just simply going to, instead of trying to wait for the ball screen this time, so there's defenders in there, he's simply going to go early, and LeBron's in too late of a position maybe to help, and he beats Luka too easily, but Kyrie gets a wide open layup. Again, we got Kyrie matched up with Luka, so we have the advantage. Kyrie is looking to attack. Luka is trying to essentially, you got a lead right now. You probably just want to make sure you don't foul, and so I think he does a good job staying out of the way. I think the referee calls a foul, but I don't think that was a foul. I'd have to see it from the other angle, but it seems unlikely at this point. All right, so were the Mavs the only team to attack Luka? The answer is no. The other team that actually went to attack Luka the most was the Pacers. So here, again, the Lakers are up by 6 right now. You just want to make sure you don't give up easy baskets and or get fouls. And so Luka does the no fouling thing pretty easily, but this is just a clean drive. And you're up 6, but I don't know if you want to be giving up those kinds of layups. Very next possession, up 4 this time. And what do? Ball screen right there. The Lakers switch it. I'm sure the idea is that there's going to be help provided, but Rui is currently looking the other way. Austin Reeves is not in a position to provide help. And so you have Halliburton that just attacks. Rui's too far away. You have good shooters out here, so it makes some sense. But it puts Luka in a one-on-one spot, and Halliburton wins that again, getting another wide open layup. And so off these perspectives, I say 2 things are clear. One is that teams are going to attack Luka. That is absolutely sure. I do think that Luka will end 2. I do think that Luka is going to play much better defense in the postseason compared to the regular season. But again, we can see Halliburton trying to attack Luka one-on-one. And if there's not going to be any help resistance, he's going to get decent looks. So this is the first one where we saw the defender step up here, and LeBron is obviously close to stepping up here as well. And this makes it so that Halliburton feels like he can't get to the rim, and so he just kind of shoots the ball up. And I think he gets a foul call, but that's by and large a much more difficult shot than he was getting those previous 2 possessions. If you're enjoying this video, feel free to subscribe because I'll be posting out weekly content. Especially as the playoffs get nearer, I'll focus more on playoff contention teams. Okay, so however, with the game on the line, obviously we know what the Pacers are going to do. And so JJ Redick made a calculated gamble essentially and said, well, Luka's probably going to get beat. So what we're going to do is we're going to alter our defense where we shift over aggressively and provide a lot of help, frankly, and then trust rotations behind it. So as we get one-on-one in here, we got Luka on defense. And so okay, well, we're going to have Rui cheat all the way over. LeBron's going to cheat over, and the defense is going to spread out guarding these 4 players with 3 players. And so this is one way that it's good to see JJ Redick and the Lakers thinking about and then ultimately executing the ability to rotate over to make sure Luka's not one-on-one essentially, and then close out to potentially good shooters. Overall, this was a great possession by the Lakers, frankly. Led to a very, very difficult shot. I like the LeBron gamble here too with a low shot clock. And so this is really good to see that they're able to counter Luka not being the best one-on-one defender. However, Luka wasn't the only defender that they would try and attack. They also tried to attack Austin Reeves. And so they had Siakam post up right here, And so the Lakers had to make a decision whether they're going to double or not double. In this instance, they kind of flirted with it, and I think eventually came. And so what the issue is that potentially leaves players open, a cutter to the middle, or opposite side, one of these two shooters is going to be open depending on the rotation. So I like the little pass down there, force the defense to adjust, and move the ball bang, and then bang because the defense adjusted down. And so I really actually liked that possession from the Pacers, and that was a very clean look. And so again, we see JJ Redick. He understands the game very well and obviously looks to counter it immediately. And so we're going to see the same concept from the Pacers. And this is I think my favorite play as well, because this is high level from Halliburton, frankly, understands the game on a beautiful, beautiful level. Okay, so we got Siakam looking to post up right here. And so the Lakers are like, well, we don't want Austin Reeves against Siakam. That's something we don't want. So what's one thing we can do is we can try and switch beforehand. The issue is Luka's the nearest defender, so you're not going to have Luka go on him. Okay, so what the Lakers essentially are doing, you see Luka checks over here, Austin's looking over here, is we're like, okay, well, we got to get LeBron over here. Let's have Luka come here and Austin come here. And so that way we have LeBron on Siakam. That's a much better matchup. Halliburton sees that. He's like, okay, the commotion going on over here. And his ability to understand it in the moment, that's beautiful from Halliburton. Puts the ball into the corner where LeBron just left and gets a pretty clean look. I mean, I think it's a good job by the Lakers and good job by the Pacers, frankly, in this possession. And then the final example of players getting targeted is Dalton Connect. And this is kind of in a different area, and I haven't watched that much of Dalton, so especially on defense in particular. And so I'm curious if this is like a real threat that the Dallas saw or that they just kind of like went with at the time. But here, this is supposed to be a switch. Rui jumps up here. Dalton makes the wrong read and should have stayed with Clay and goes up here instead. But that leaves Clay open, and so that little gap is all Clay needs. And he's going to hit that shot a lot. You can see there's confusion right there. So maybe Rui did the wrong thing. I don't know, but they were targeting that situation regardless. That is one challenging thing about these semi-non-contact switches is it's very difficult because do you switch, do you not switch? Again, we can see Dalton Connect being involved in this ball screen, and he's not going to make contact right there. And so the Rui doesn't actually know that there's a screen happening. Like maybe you can tell him in advance, but with no contact, it's extremely difficult to decide when to switch versus not. And so Dalton's like, oh, it's switch because there's a screen. Rui's like, well, there was no contact, so there wasn't a screen. And so Dalton is again giving Clay a little bit of space, and to make up for it, he flies by and gives Clay another wide open look. And then we also see PJ Washington attacking him as well. And so I don't think that this is going to be as common as the Luka or Austin Reeves, simply because Dalton isn't going to be in the game at the end of anywhere near as much. And because Dalton is still, I would gamble, a much better defender than Luka is one-on-one. Then we transition somewhat to what the Lakers did intentionally on defense. So this wasn't like the Mavs trying to instigate. This is what the Lakers were making a conceded choice, and that would be how Rui Hachimura is playing right here. Okay, so as this drive happens, Rui is like, yeah, I got help defense. And the reason that has help defense is because we have Marshall in the corner. Marshall is a 28% three-point shooter, and so the Lakers are saying, we're okay with that. Okay, help off. If he makes one, that's okay. In the long run, he's going to miss those. And in this game, frankly, they were 100% right. Okay, we have the drive happens right here. LeBron is now guarding Marshall. What is LeBron doing? He's helping off. Okay, PJ, no layup. Kick the ball out. We'll live with that shot. We're not letting someone get a layup. And it works out. This time, same situation when this, or not before the switch happens even. Luka has 13, so Luka has Marshall this time. Clay gets a little bit of steam headed downhill, and Luka, I don't know if this was intentional. I think ideally Luka would probably go more to the corner, but Luka does cheat down, and Marshall is left wide open. You can see Austin Reeves not even remotely trying to close out. And so they're like clearly told to allow that shot. Then our first clip of the Knicks, when we can actually see the same thing, and this is something I've talked about quite a bit, is the fact that Josh Hart can't shoot is a huge liability for the Knicks. I mean, that's why Cat is so important, because he's a big that can shoot. But if teams can just leave Josh Hart in the playoffs, like, it is brutal. And so here's one example is we can see the help defender right here just coming all the way over, leaving Josh Hart. He ends up making this shot, and he's very excited about it, clearly. But again, that's a calculated gamble that the Lakers are trying to take. I like the bullets at the bench is nice. And coach. So as that ball gets swung around, we can see that first off, the defense is helping off. Like, they're more worried about the Brunson drive right there. And so that's the thing. If Josh Hart isn't willing to consistently shoot it, then it doesn't really matter. Like, you can be excited you hit one, but like, they're not going to respect you after one. You have to be able to like shoot it consistently. And so that's what the whole gamble is. Like, the Lakers know that the Knicks, they live off of Jalen Brunson shooting the ball. And so look at, as this ball goes up, you have 5 players in the paint, LeBron contesting aggressively. And so like, that's a extremely difficult shot. And the Lakers are like, we're going to make Jalen Brunson shoot the most difficult shots possible. And the easiest way to do that is simply leaving a player that doesn't want to shoot. So Josh Hart, like, if he's camped right here, then what's the point? If he's going to be spaced out to the 3-point line, it's a little bit more spacing at least. But we just leave him, help down to the middle, and make Jalen Brunson shoot difficult shots. Even if he makes some of them, that's the gamble you're playing. And then finally, again, I like this from JJ Redick. The end of the game, who's going to shoot the ball? Like, who's going to shoot the ball. It's going to be Jalen Brunson if they have any choice whatsoever. And so the Lakers are, well, let's just double, especially if we can double off of Josh Hart. Okay? So they bring an extra defender. Jalen Brunson is probably a little slow to recognize it. Probably should have just moved that ball initially, but tries to dribble it out here for a little bit. And taking that extra amount of time is going to, that's difficult for an offensive player to get the ball with 3 seconds, have awareness of who's open, move the ball and attack. And so Josh Hart does a good job trying to get downhill, but again, there was too little time left, and that's a half second late for that shot. So in conclusion, the things to take away from this is, 1, Luka's going to get attacked. And if Luka's not getting attacked, Austin Reeves is going to get attacked. The good things on that perspective is that the Lakers did a good job understanding help defense and helping aggressively with the Pacers. And then when there were non-shooters in the game, also helping aggressively off that, whether that was the Mavs or the Knicks' Josh Hart. And so I really like the understanding that JJ Redick's bringing, and I like the fact that the Lakers have 3 good defenders on the court at all times to kind of help up for Luka's potential inability. And so in these games, I think the Lakers by and large did a very good job on defense, and I'm curious, very, very curious to see how that looks in the playoffs. If you enjoyed this, I also did a video on OKC from the same perspective where I'm looking at how teams attack them on defense. I'll link that right here if you want to check that out. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. But most importantly, have a blessed rest of your day.